I focused on growth too much where service lacked. Like quality went down, customer service went down, relationships got broken. I was running a business where people were numbers. It got that big.
My man.
Hello, welcome to Chasing Excellence again. For the I don't know how many times, but we've been going at it. It's been good.
Back in Dallas.
Dallas.
Away from our remote that we had.
I could have stayed there forever. I'm not gonna lie. That was a wonderful place. It was a temptress. It was just stay forever, stay forever. Ignore your 5 kids. You know?
I say he loves you, Amanda. Don't worry, he loves you. He'll stay there forever.
Shout out to Amanda.
Shout out. Home with 5 kids. He could have stayed there forever.
Could have stayed there forever. Yeah.
That's funny.
In today's episode, though, I wanted to bring up a topic that I don't know if you've thought about it a lot recently, more or less than I have, but it is something that I think about a lot. Being my 9th year going into business, is things that I believed early on. You know, since you've been in the business now for 60, 70 years, it seems like, you know, you old veteran over there, and you know, I've been in business for 8, 9. It's been really nice to reflect back on things that I believed would be true, but ended up not being true. So that's what I want to talk about today, are the business myths that you believed early on that you realized were terrible and false and made no sense. So
I love it. What's funny is a little behind the scenes, you literally told me the topic 2-3 minutes ago. We do a little prep beforehand, right? I had to think of it. I'm like, yeah, okay, I got it. What's funny is I may have forgotten, because again, to your point, been in the business for 70 years. I may have forgotten what those early myths were. Yeah. I still don't miss that today. I'm like, oh, they weren't a miss. A lot of it's just the good advice. So maybe I'm going to think of myself as a positive person. I only remember the stuff that works.
Oh, that's cool.
I've long since forgotten the stuff that didn't. But nonetheless, I came up with 3 good ones.
Good.
I think are good.
So with time, with 50 years, I'll forget the bad stuff.
That's the hope and dream, right?
Great. That's great. All right. Awesome. So the way we'll do this one is I'll go first. You go first.
Deal.
First, you go? Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So the first one that I believed was this quote: "Just work hard. Just work hard. Hard work." In 2023, I worked harder than I ever had in 7 years. I'm talking like 6 days a week, 12, 13-hour days, and nothing happened. Like nothing happened. Revenue didn't grow. New clients didn't come in as often as I thought they would. I realized at the end of that year and earlier that next year in 2024, which by the way was when we met and started working together, is because I wasn't working on the right things. Like I was working hard, but I was working hard on the wrong things. So that line would have made much more sense if what the person or the thing or whatever the mantra was, just work hard on the right things.
That fine print gets you.
Yeah.
And that is true. So many things that are mantras, I think a lot of it has that fine print afterwards.
There's caveats to it all is a big thing. And yeah.
You can work. I heard once, I was young, and a guy goes, any idiot can work twice as hard and make twice as much money. It takes a special kind of idiot to work twice as hard and make the same amount of money. So I was like, I've never forgotten that. I was like, that's so true. So it's not even just not working on the not right things. He was working on the wrong things. Jeez. Right? Because that's work twice as hard to make the same amount. Yeah. You're doing the wrong things.
Yeah.
To work twice as hard to make twice as much, at least there's
double
payoff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but to your point, if you're staying static, it's not just the right things. You're doing the wrong things.
Yeah.
Because even if you just do some okay things, you should grow.
You
should see hopeful,
right.
Some of those fruits of those labors. What's funny, because I did think of that too, is in the mortgage world, mortgage, insurance, real estate. I've heard in the mortgage world, if you could survive your first 2 years, you're going to be fine. Real estate, I've heard 3. Insurance, financial planning, I've heard like 5. Mm-hmm. So 5 for you.
Yeah, 5 for me.
So it's just one of those. I remember literally it was to the day, 2 years in my 2-year anniversary of being in the business, and I got the biggest paycheck at the time that I'd ever gotten, and I was like, this is neat. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me when I saw the payday, I was like, this is almost 2 years to the day in the business.
Yeah.
And it was wild.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I was like, I've made it 2 years. Yep. So again, in the mortgage world, you stick 2 years. So mine.
What's your first one? Yeah.
Yeah, mine was, you want to educate the borrower. You want to educate the client. You want to give them all this information. You want to make sure that whatever it is. And when I started, I was 22 years old, 23 years old. So you also have this little inferiority. Thank you. Say that 3 times fast. Inferiority complex, where it's like, man, I got to make sure they know how smart I am or how good I am. the older I get and the better I get at sales, I realize talking less is probably better, right? It's not educating them. It's educating them, but not in the way it's just this big. It's not the amount of education. It's to simplify the complex, right? It's to say less, drive the point home, and move on.
Yeah, like kind of like mean more by saying like with less words. Be more impactful with your words versus quantity of words.
Yeah, so it's just here's this dump of all this information, and it's analysis by paralysis. And if they don't feel confident that in you in the decision, they're just not going to make it, or they'll go somewhere else where somebody presented it better. So for me, it was educate the buyer or the borrower. And ultimately, while that's still true, the myth in my mind, the way I interpreted that, kind of like you said, the fine print was give them all this information. I think you give them the right information. It kind of goes back to your piece, doing it the right way.
Yep.
What's your number two?
My number two, I experienced actually last year. And the reason why this one didn't do well for me was because these aren't blanket statements that work for everybody. You know, these mantras, right? This one was just focus on growth and everything else will take care of itself, right? I got into my business because I wanted to build something quality. I wanted to build something, you know, where I know everybody that I work with. I have relationships with people. It's a very relationship driven business. Now, if I can charge more per hour, more per whatever, then we have a great life, you know? But focusing on growth, I focused on growth too much where service lacked. Like quality went down, customer service went down, relationships got broken, promises weren't kept. People were disappointed because I was juggling way more clients than I've ever juggled in my life. And I was running a business where people were numbers. It got that big. And, you know, my thought was, well, let me throw money at the solution. But the problem was there was no money left over for me, you know? So it was a rough couple months where I had the most revenue I've ever had, but there was no profit. And so this idea of just, you know, get revenue, chase the revenue, build big, works if you have a plan on how to deal with the growth and not just focusing on the growth. I think that's a mistake a lot of people make in my industry. Is like, you just got to scale. You got to go from 0 to 10,000 a month in now, but you have to have things in place in order to support that growth. And so, you know, we've talked about this off the podcast, but you know, this year I've definitely scaled back a lot, focusing more on quality, charging more. And I've gotten much more positive reaction to the work that I'm doing for my clients. And that's how I'm going to grow. It's not by number, but by how much I'm being paid per client, which I'm totally happy with because that's way more manageable. So just focusing on growth for me was a mantra that, failed spectacularly, not because it's a bad mantra, but it's just one that just didn't work for me personally.
Yeah. For me, one of the early myths in my career was sales solves everything, or that rising tide raises all boats. Maybe, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe for like a week.
It does,
you know?
It does, but the reality is like the tide still goes out. And to your point, if you're not saving, if you're not making anything, the margins aren't there. What's the point? So in my world, and I think that's everybody, right? Any big or small business, like you can say focus on growth, and that's fine. But we're kind of learning this little lesson here. Is there's always that underlying little fine print that comes after it. Ours is when that growth comes, you better have a process in place.
Yeah.
You better have the right people, and the right people isn't the entire answer. It's also got to be a process, right? You can't have one without the other. You got to have both. You have the right people in the right places with the right process to handle that type of volume, because you and I can go turn it on and go get business. The reality is it's not what you make, it's what you keep.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have the right process in place, you're going to sit there, and we've done it, right? You just take on all this business at once, and then you look up, you're like, now what? And I've just ticked off a lot of people, or we're internally pulling our hair out, which makes for a bad home life.
Yeah. Everyone's stressed. Everyone's mad.
Yeah. You're not happy.
Yep.
You know, wife's not happy. And even if you got a paycheck that's hitting the bank account, the reality is like, who cares?
Right.
So I do think that's what's interesting is yours is mine. And that is for me, it's, you know, sales solves everything and more, you know, it doesn't. It creates new problems.
It creates new problems. Right.
I would rather have a growth problem than a not enough business problem.
Yeah.
So give me the problem to have. I will take the growth over the no growth or over the lack of business in general.
Yep.
Love it.
But yeah, just focus on growth. Then my last one, this one I learned back in 2021. And it's from a guy whose book you have here. The myth is the best product always wins. And that is 1,000% not true. It is the best known product that wins, right? That's straight from Grant Cardone. That's what he talks about. It's better to be best known than best, because I can be selling a mediocre solution, but selling it to hundreds of people versus the best solution, but no one's buying from me. So it's even better when you really do have the best solution. You are selling to a lot of people, right? But focusing on just building this great product and not understanding how to market that product. Because me, I was always as a creator, I was always like, I got to make the best video. It's got to be the best quality. It's got to be in 4K so it looks beautiful on the screen. And, it's got to have this shot in it. But like, if no one sees that video, who cares? And if I can't bring those views, that engagement, the things that clients actually want, then who cares how nice the video looks? And so that's when I started becoming less of a creator and more of a marketer, using video as my creative and using video as my marketing tool. That's when the switch really flipped for me, when I could tell clients, hey, my strategy is not just going to make you look good, but it's going to bring you this much attention, this much awareness, this much engagement, this much of whatever metric it is you're looking for. And that's what ended up making me more valuable, was if I bring this to the table along with the creative, you're going to pay me more. So that for me was the big one. The best product always wins. That's not true. It's best known product.
Yeah, the best product doesn't win. The best service doesn't win, because I can tell you right now, the number one, and I'll say them out loud, Rocket Mortgage. I tell anybody, like, why does Rocket, like, are you better than Rocket Mortgage, Mr. or Mrs. Loan Officer? Yeah, I'm really good at my job. Yeah, why do they do more business than all of us combined? It's because more people know them.
Because they're literally like on every bus stop, every stop sign, every highway billboard.
Fact of the matter is,
commercial on
more
TV.
people know them.
More people know who they are.
If the world knew Mortgage Mark, if the entire universe knew Mortgage Mark,
you would be a multi-bazillionaire.
We'd crush it.
We'd be doing this podcast on a private yacht somewhere.
On the moon.
Yeah, on the moon. On the moon.
So it is. Yeah, I agree with you. The best doesn't win. It is going to be. I've had somebody say at some point, when you can find somebody that can do what you can do at 80% to your skill level, you should just pass it off.
Yeah.
And I was like, interesting. They said, look, 80% is probably good enough, because when you've mastered something, and 20 plus years of doing this, yes, I've mastered it. I mean, it's one of the best, right? So, and I'm not saying that to be cocky. It's just, hopefully you're really good at something after 2 decades. But the reality is, I do think pass it off. So for me, one of the early myths that I've heard, and I heard it recently, so I kind of chuckle. One of the early myths in my career was say yes to everything, every opportunity. If there's a networking thing, go do it. If a client says, can you do this really hard, funky thing, do it. And I understand that the premise behind it was, again, kind of what we just said. The more people that know you, the more business you're probably going to get.
Volume negates anything,
Some
right?
of it's building, some of it's building experience.
Right.
And early in your career, you need to build that experience. I think the fine print on this one says, say yes to everything, ... for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
After that, you need to learn to start saying no. And it was way too late in my career that I've started to realize saying no, there's so much power in that. One, you just feel more confident. Two, you probably you're going to say no to the stuff you don't enjoy doing.
Right. You're
going to have a better life. I'm in a better business. But ultimately, you find what you do really well. If it brings you joy, you're probably good at it. And more people then want to send you more of what that is.
Yep.
So I think that's the part of, one of the myths early on was say yes to everything, ... for the first year or two. But after that, start saying no a whole bunch.
Yeah. For me, it's like say yes to everything, ... but know that it's going to suck. Like, just know it's not going to be fun. Right?
And it may not be worth, again, long term.
It may not all be worth it, right? You're going to get losses.
It's worth it for the reps, right?
Yep.
To go in and get the experience and know what you do.
Yep.
To me, I think that's the real win is in the beginning. Say yes. And look, you can be 20 years in your career, and you and I are starting to do something like this.
Well, because we're like, we got to go start seeing people. All right, let's turn on the jets now. But we know it's for a season. It's not we're going to do this forever. It's for the next 3 months. We're going to commit to this. For April, we're going to do this, knowing it's a season. And we can do that now.
Well said. That's the ... on that one. Say yes to everything ... for a season.
But no, it's a season.
I love that.
Man, drop some gems on this one. This is a good one.
That's
your takeaway. Cool.
What's your to wrap this up? Final thought takeaway for today's.
Yep. The mantras aren't all wrong. They just have caveats and asterisks behind them. Understand what those caveats and asterisks are, and you'll be okay. Yeah, that for me was like the asterisks.
I agree.
Yep.
And remember, what's the one thing you always got to keep doing?
Chasing mediocrity. Just kidding. Chasing excellence. Keep chasing excellence. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for watching another episode of Chasing Excellence. Be sure to subscribe, share with your friends, and remember to always keep chasing excellence.